I'm as red as a strawberry because I had a fantastic day yesterday at Pat Noonan's farm in East Galway. I did a talk there. We got a great crowd showed up. The weather was beautiful. I met some lovely people, a lot of really new people, and also some friends who travelled over from England, from Wales, sorry. And I had to rush out at the end because I had to come back tomorrow, so I didn't get a chance to say goodbye to Pat and his wife, and also to Josie who was at the setting up. So thank you for that, guys. I had a fantastic time, and we talked a little treason. And now we talked mostly. Well, you know my talks. I intermingle a lot of things, but it has been recorded, and I will upload it to BR313. So I hope you're all keeping well. Uh, the looks I get when I walk into a shop with this like red face. You always notice that the NPCs, the normal person, if you got a really red sunburn, the average person might look and go, "Oh, I'm torn away," but the NPC will go. I remember years ago I had an accident. I hurt my eye, and the doctor gave me an eye patch, like a medical one, and so I said, "Fuck that," and I went and I bought from a costume store in New York. I bought a proper pirate black patch because I thought it would look cool, looking like a pirate with one eye. I kind of liked the look when my eye got better, and you walk down the street and the odd person would look at it and go, "Oh, look away." They'd notice, like your normal perception, but the NPCs would always go. They stare. The NPC stares because its lack of an internal monologue is unable to just do something like, "Oh, the guy has an eye injury and he's wearing an eye patch." They have to they can't deal with it. So it kind of captivates them like a moth to or a fly at a bug zapper. That was just the NPC. Very interesting times, these. Very interesting times. The whole thing during the week with that submersible Titan thing and the Titanic. Um, yeah. Here we go, folks. This is, science and symbols rule the world stuff. Uh, this, I won't elaborate further on what a series of videos are made on Odyssey by Christian Morris, uh, who brilliantly and sublimely outlined his own metaphysical and spiritual aspects of it, which I completely agree with 90% of it. That'd be a little different than other things. I mean, it's obvious that wreck has become alive and sentient in some way, and it wanted to be fed something, and it was fed billion. It also showed us how stupid these billionaires are that they would climb into something like that with a game box controller, and this is so idiotic. See, they don't understand anything. They understand nothing. So they were fed to the abyss, to the deep one that was down there, and some kind of egregoric energy force is now living in that Titanic wreck area, in a world that humans are not meant to be. It's easier for us to get into outer space than it is to get into inner oceans. And it's not a joke, it really is true. And whoever are looking for aliens in outer space, all I have to do is look at the animals that live at the bottom of the sea, how they defy nature, how big sharks can manage to live down there without being crushed by the enormous pressure of the waters above them. The bottom of the ocean is a place that you're only to observe from a distance. We're not meant to be. The oceans are giving us lots of auguries, and there's so many whales washing up on the shores, and there's orcas all over the world attacking fishermen boats. I'm starting to think more and more it's these wind turbines at sea, and the big power cables that go from them to land. I have to laugh at all these environmentalists. They put like a bank of 200 wind turbines out in the sea, on a sandbank, right? And they show absolutely no consideration for how it will affect marine life through EMF, things like marine mammals, and it could be driving them mad. And they show absolutely no regard for all the birds that are killed by the big propellers, because for the greater good. Like the cult of the climate change psychotics, who now claim that the Earth has tilted because we man's impact upon it. Can Can you actually believe that's how? Well, we know how psychotic the average. All since the last 2 years, I said we're now living in a post-scientific age because science is a religion of the mentally ill, and most scientists are morons and mentally ill whack jobs, and they try to portray themselves as the greatest beings on earth for the last 25 years, 30 years, and we've now seen that they're just crazy. They're mentally ill. And so when someone says to you, I'm a scientist, the thing you should put after that is, and you're mentally ill in your mind. Because they are mentally ill. How they can say climate change has tilted the earth is beyond me. But they've tried this one before. I remember, like they've said, they tried to make the earthquakes were caused by CO2. These people are crazy. These people are insane. If someone says to you, my uncle's a scientist, and you think he's probably a fucking lunatic too. I mean, all you have to do is look at what happened between 2020 and 23 to see that science is insane. Except for some fields. Some fields that you can't really affect. Where there are fields in science that can't be affected by the climate change psychosis of the mentally ill. And they are still doing science, proper science. One of these is theoretical physics. In 2022, they awarded the Nobel Prize for Physics, to work into a thing called quantum retrocausality. And quantum retrocausality ties in perfectly with the wave function collapse. It means that you can literally erase the past. You can literally erase the past. And it works very similar to the observer experiment. And again, like the observer experiment, the mathematics, the sums, the numbers prove it's absolutely true. So, but like mainstream science doesn't like quantum physics because they just don't like the fact that there's an unknown factor to it, even though the calculations work out. Now, this thing with the quantum retrocausality, you see, we're ending on a lot of timelines here, or overlapping wave functions and timelines. The Titanic sinking was very much the beginning of the globalist world as a kind of a banking power, okay? Because we all know that there's some very funny business regarding the Federal Reserve connected to that, okay? Secondly, so, you had the whole thing, everything about it was mystical. The book Futility that came out, the Titan, the whole thing, and then even a few days before it happens, myself and Sarah did a broadcast for the last Hocus Focus of the season on the metaphysical aspects of the Titanic. I don't know where that idea just popped into my head, and then all this stuff has happened. So we tapped into something, and looking back at that episode now, it's like a Gnostic mass or something. But we haven't seen it's on the BR 313 channel, Beyond Room 313 channel, but. The billionaires getting blown up inside a home heating oil tank holding an Xbox controller. That sort of like was the bookend of that, okay. And then I said that the main quantum function, the main wave function growth was on the 9/11 thing, and that's really what's caused the globalization and all the stuff we're dealing with today, with 57 genders and all this stuff. Well, we're burying the corpse of that now. That's what the Rona was. That was and woke was burying the corpse of that world. And it's not surprising that in 2022 the Nobel Prize for Physics was dealt with retrocausality, quantum retrocausality, which basically means we're erasing the past that caused that, so we can begin again with a clean slate. And this ties in with all the prophecies and everything else. And like I've even been looking at some new agey prophecies regarding things like remote viewing, and so many things have been saying 2024, 25, 2025, 26, and that's all that 2 year scope, that 2 year area. You see, people's that condition to think there's going to be a change that's going to happen like that instantaneously. No, nothing in nature that was like that. It's a wave. Everything else slowly in a wave. It changes up. That whole thing of it happening like that is a Christian thing, like that, Judgment Day, Armageddon, and all that stuff, the rapture. So, very good stuff. Very, very interesting times we're living in, and those of us that have eyes to see it are finding this to be an amazing show. While the average norm here, NPC, is just hears about billionaires being blown up in a domestic home heating oil tank. under the ocean. The rest of us are like, this is what we came into the alternative scene for, to read signs and symbols, to indulge archetypes and motifs and recurring um, aspects of things. And it's tremendously exciting because it gives us a roadmap to read the universe. We synchronicity is the roadmap out of all the misery that they put upon us. And it's collapsing. The whole thing is collapsing. Woke was a complete flop this June. There was a complete flop. When I could think of Woke last year and the year before, those rainbow flags everywhere, a complete flop this year, and many places cancelled or forbid Woke events from happening near children, pride events near children, and that was fantastic. And then you also had a situation where the propaganda agency here in Ireland, RTE, this is our version of BBC, has a massive scandal they're never going to be able to get out of and play down, literally uh, paying their presenters under the table from the license fee money. It's unbelievable, and I'm now beginning to think that a lot of these could be kickbacks from big pharmaceutical companies to pay presenters to push the needlecraft. Oh, it's very interesting what's happening. And also, there's other things too. People everywhere. The whole thing here in Ireland, where they were calling far right, far right. Where they go down and see working class old ladies knitting, trying to stop the street from being taken over. Going, well, far right, far right. That's all stopped. That's all stopped. They're all gone. All the radical lefties have all gone in Ireland. They're either dead from needlecraft, hopefully, or their bodies are destroyed from it. And a lot of the NGOs are in trouble as well. So we're living in an amazing time. And if you have the eyes and the ears to observe it and to look at it and to behold it, you have a front row ticket to the greatest show on earth. So look after yourselves, and hopefully the next day or two, or next 2 or 3 days, I'll get that video uploaded. Sanguine Gnosis, and I fucking love you bastards.